Welcome everyone to Cooking with Mama Bear. I'm your host, Mama Bear. Today we're gonna make fried potatoes. So first thing, please ask your parent or guardian, can you cook first in the kitchen before you begin? So once I say yes, then you can start. So first thing, let's wash our hands. Today what we're gonna need is a cutting board. We're gonna need some potatoes. And I just chose two because I'm not going to make a whole bunch. You'll need a little bit of a yellow onion. You'll need a frying pan, or some people call it a skillet, but make sure it has raised sides. You're going to need something called seasoned salt. And then you will also need a little bit of oil, probably about a half a cup. You will need it's kind of like a cookie rack. But if you don't have one, that's okay. You can definitely use paper toweling. And then the last thing will be a chef's knife, or you could use a paring knife. But today I'm going to use a chef knife. Okay, so first thing, what I did is I took my potatoes and I rinsed them under some cool water. So that's why it's a little wet. And because we're going to fry these, we want to make sure our potato is dry. So I'm going to pat my potato dry, because one drop of water in that hot oil and it's going to burn you. Okay, next you are going to take your potato, you're going to look at it, and most potatoes are kind of shaped kind of like a circle, cylindrical, is that a word? Shape. So what I want to do is slice off just a small bit of my potato, and that's going to cause it to lay flat on the surface. See that? If I push it, it's not really jiggling. If I took this potato and put it on here, see how it wiggles around? And I could easily cut myself. So make sure that's dry. So now my potato is stable, and I'm going to take my chef's knife and I am just going to cut in small little slices, and we're making circles. We're not making the French fry sticks, but actually circles. You'll notice I also left the skin on, because this recipe, you can take the skins off or you can leave the skins on. So I'm going to cut, and they both taste the same, or just fine. So I'm going to cut both potatoes and use about half the onion. Okay, so we have our potatoes and onions cut up. I have my flame on medium, a little bit more closer to medium low. I put in about a half a cup of oil and I poured it in so I can feel the heat. This is at least about 12 inches above the pan, so that I know it is hot and ready to go. Now, I am not going to show you the unprofessional way, which is using your fingers and putting the potatoes in, but you could get burned. So we're going to use tongs. Don't judge me that this thing is cut off a little bit. That's okay. And my pan is well used because I cook with it a lot. So I'm going to pick up a potato. I'm going to gently slide it in the oil. Ooh, you hear that sizzle? Yes, it is ready. So I am going to painstakingly put each little potato in. Now, the first round, or the first layer, is of course going to touch the oil, but you can use or make more than one layer. So I am going to just put these in, and then I'm going to show you how to put in the second level or the second layer. Okay, so they've been cooking for a while. I'd say at least 10 minutes on the first side. And the second side, when you flip it over, once it's golden brown, then it cooks a little faster. You'll notice that I put the onions on top because onions cook faster than potatoes. So if the onions are on top, they tend to get a little soft, but they're still light. Then when you flip the potatoes over, because it's golden brown on one side, then the onions go to the bottom, and then they cook and they're golden brown, or they're tender and they're not burned and crispy, unless that's how you like them. So you notice I have a plate that's close to my stove top, but not too close. And either you can use a paper towel to put on your plate to absorb the extra grease, and I would say maybe like 2 or 3 sheets of paper towel, or you don't have to use a paper towel, and you can use one of these cooling racks. So I'm going to hold my handle. I'm going to gently take my potatoes out. And I try to make it where some of the potatoes are still kind of light brown and some are a little crunchy, because some people like them crunchy and some people like them soft. So I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to tilt my, oh, I should go this way. Tilt my spatula to the side just a little bit to allow some of that excess grease, to fall off or to drip off. Okay, so they're not behaving, so that's okay. So I'm going to go over to my cooling rack, and then the extra grease can drip, or the oil can drip down into the, down onto the plate underneath. So, okay, see, there's one of my little burned onion rings, but that's okay, because I will eat that. Okay, so I'm going to take the rest of these out, and then we're going to season it with seasoned salt. Okay, so I cut the flame off so the oil is no longer cooking or getting hot and starting to smoke. I move my spatula on something called a spoon rest so it's not laying in the oil. And now we are ready to season the potatoes. All you need to do is take your seasoned salt and just gently dust or sprinkle just a little bit. That's all I use. My kids use a lot more than I do. You can also put black pepper on there, or you can just use regular salt. And these are so good. And the onion gave the oil a nice flavor. I hope you enjoyed this cooking lesson today with Mama Bear. Don't forget, stay and look while you cook.